Hello again. It is Wing Nation. Well, it is Wing Nation, but it's not Wing Nation. This is called the work area. Yeah, okay, so you know how this works in sprint car racing. Yellow flag comes out. We all get a chance, well, the guys and gals get a chance to work on the cars, and we get a chance to talk about it all while there's a break in the action. So that's what we're doing. I'm Steve Post, of course, from Wing Nation, joined in the studio by Erin Evernham and joined by the technology of Zoom. Ashley Strummy is here from Pennsylvania from the Lethal Chassis Studios. Hello, Ashley. How are you?
Hey guys, good to catch up with both of you this week.
I know. How about that? And Erin, everything good in your world?
Yeah, things are good.
We are having so much fun, and we've really had a good time with our trio of podcasts. Getting off track with Ashley Strummy. You had a great visit with Diane Schatz. I mean, that was just fantastic, wasn't it? That was so neat.
Yes, it was great to finally get to talk to her. I've never had the opportunity to talk to her. She's always busy slinging t-shirts at the trailer, and I never want to interrupt her, and she's a busy woman, but she was very humble, incredibly awesome to talk to. I can't wait to actually go meet her physically in person at the next race.
Yeah, she's kind of in the shadows, and not by design, but because you have Donnie, who's the superstar, but then you have Danny, who's the social director.
He's the legend.
He's the legend, the social guy. And then you have Diane just out there selling shirts and doing everything. I thought it was so neat the way you ended that with Donnie's thoughts on his mom. I just thought that really did a good job. So I love it. Ashley is getting off track with the women in the sport. Erin, as you know, with Erin Evernham, you sat down a few weeks ago with the Buckeye Bullet, Dave Blaney, and boy, you got into a lot deets. That's what the kids call it these days. Deets. You got a lot of deets, that's for sure.
Dave was so talkative. Something we don't.
Wow.
I mean, I've never really seen that side of him too much, especially when the camera's on. And he was chatty Cathy, and I really appreciated it. But we still missed some of the good stuff. When we shut the cameras off, he kept going, and I'm like, no, save it for the next interview because there's 2.0 is coming out. The Dave Blaney 2.0 interview is coming.
I know, Ashley, we run into this a lot of times with our television program where we'll chit-chat with the guys a few minutes earlier, chit-chat late, and then we get done with it, and it's like, why didn't you tell us that during the interview? That's just the nature of our guys. They don't understand TV and radio and podcasts. That's the problem. They don't understand it. Save the good stuff for on the air.
It's so true. And Erin, I know your engineer brain and Dave's engineer brain together. It was absolutely incredible to just hear everything you guys talked about, and then to hear him talk about like Ryan and sprint car racing and him running. It was absolutely awesome. So I think you could probably do a show with him every week and touch on something completely different.
Yeah,
we really
could. I mean, he got into this whole spiel when we went off air about crew chiefs and why some guys that are veterans who we all think are awesome drivers, he gives a little bit more credit to their crew chiefs. It was really interesting. We got into some detail. So that's why I'm like, all right, will you come back on? He was like, yeah, sure, I'll come back anytime. So
that's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was
cool stuff.
Interesting.
The one that I did was the post office. I did Wayne Johnson.
Oh, boy.
Everybody's favorite, Wayne Johnson. Yep. And mine's kind of all over the map. I mean, you've got a little focus with yours, Erin. Ashley, you got to focus with yours on women. Mine's going to be just sort of like I am, a little all over the map. It's like, well, I want to talk to Wayne Johnson this week, so that's who I'll talk to. And I want to talk to Eric Almirola next week. And so that's what we're going to do with it. And then the final week of the month, assuming 4-week months, we're going to sit down in the work area and just kind of see how everyone's doing and talk sprint car racing. So I think it's really, really fun. Ashley, as we announced at the beginning of the year, you are with child. How is that process coming along? How's baby and mama doing? Oh, boy.
Well, yeah, for lack of better terms, I'm ready for him to be here. I'm not sure I'm ready for him to be here, but I know I'm tired of him wreaking havoc on my body. We spent a couple days in the emergency room in Daytona after Volusia. So that was a lot of fun. I forgot who I was and all the people around me. So it's been eventful 7-8 months now, to say the least. So he'll be here in about 5-6 or more, and
woohoo.
I'm looking forward to it, I think.
Do we have a name picked out?
We are about 75% sure we have a name.
Ah, exciting. But, I want to let you know that I was one of those women who did not enjoy pregnancy. You meet all these, I know we're getting totally off
That's
of
fine,
racing
yeah.
right now, but there's these women who are like, oh, it's the greatest thing. And I was like, it was rough. I mean, no wine. My body was like, it was rough. It's all worth it. You'll understand when he arrives, but I'm with you. It was, it's a lot.
I can imagine.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you have that woman who's like, oh my gosh, but I loved pregnancy. I'm like, good for you. Like, go away. I mean, I'm happy
Same.
that you were
Like,
happy,
oh,
but
no, I felt
no.
like I weighed 800 pounds and I felt awful every day.
And you
Yeah.
didn't even have wine.
Yeah,
and you couldn't have
exactly.
wine. They take away the one thing that can make this better.
Seriously. Yeah, and you know what? My husband, Raymond, was like, you know what? I'm not going to...
He's Raymond with this one.
I'm not going to drink while you're pregnant. I'm going to do this with you. I'm not going to... Like 4 nights in, he was like, all right, I can't do this. I got to... You're hormonal. I got to have my wine.
Yeah. Because you're you, and being pregnant, you're even you on steroids. I need wine. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I had all that support going.
There you go. Well, that's good.
David is not a big drinker, and he has made sure that every time we've gone out, he's gotten at least 2 drinks. And I'm like, what is happening?
He's got his DD now.
Exactly. It's garbage.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Erin, your life when it's not sprint cars and tag along with SRX and everything is horse shows with Kate. How is the horse shows? How's Alfie? How's everything in the horse show world?
Yeah, so it's very time consuming. It's like racing. We are spending a lot of time at the barn. But when you work with ponies, it's not like a race car. They have personalities. They get sick. They are some days moody. So I'm learning a lot. And like we were talking about before we went on the air, I've become like pageant mom. I have become her pony has been spooking a little bit and she's been falling off. And it's kind of hard to watch your child fall off. There's no Hans device here. There's no 5-point harness. We are just flopping off with this little tiny helmet on. So Alfie might not be feeling well. He's actually getting an endoscopy today, something us racers... race cars don't need endoscopies.
That does not sound like fun. I don't care whether a race car driver or not. That doesn't sound fun at all.
No, he's sedated for it. So, you can just imagine the bills that go along with this too.
Well, there's that too.
Hopefully Alfie is better and we'll be back on track. But she loves it and it's been fun to watch her find her passion.
That is so cool. I'm so excited for you, Ashley, with the pending son. And I'm so excited you watching Kate. Mine are on the other end of it. My youngest one is junior at Charlotte, studying theater ed. My oldest one just got back from India, and she's teaching yoga. And so she's just found, I live, and you two know, and anyone that follows along with us, I live my dream job. When I was a little kid, I dreamed about talking about racing, and so I do it. So you hope that your child can find their respective passion. My daughter was in India for like 4 days. And the light switch flipped on. The light switch not only flipped on, but all the curtains came down on the windows and everything. And it's just been fun to watch. Now this is not a visual.
I was just going to ask about this.
This is not a visual you want to think about much, folks. But I actually took one of her classes. I'm taking another one this week.
So how did it go? I need to hear, because my experience with yoga is not pretty. I am not flexible. I have zero patience. My ADD kicks in. So I got to hear about this.
I will be honest with you. I don't think it's a visual you want to see, and I was not able to complete a number of the moves, okay? One of the things, though, that I have worked on, one of the things with yoga is it's not only the flexible fitness, but it's also the mind thing. It's kind of like a timeout.
Yeah.
You put yourself in a space.
I'm not.
I have been working on that a lot with a lot of things, just reading at night and a little meditating and everything like that. So my experience at the end, when I was done, was spectacular.
Oh, that's my favorite part. The part where you just
lay down. Yeah, exactly. Where you lay down. Yeah, exactly. You just lay down, lay here. And I said, I got that move down. That's the one
Nailed
move.
it.
I nailed that one. No, I think I did all right. But as you both know, fitness, like 5 years ago, fitness meant nothing to me other than it's what other people do. And Kendra got me in that stupid 410 race at Knoxville, and now so I run, and I'm trying to eat healthier, and I've taken off a few pounds, and so flexibility is something I want to work on, but it's not pretty watching it happen.
Do you wear the yoga pants?
I do not wear the yoga pants. Come on now, we got to stop with that. Now that's the time out. Can we go back and Can we go back and erase that question? Because now
you said no.
But you thought the visual of just me doing the moves, but you put me in yoga pants, and that's not it.
Well, you shouldn't really wear baggy shorts either when you're doing yoga.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm wearing my baggy shorts. Relatively speaking, do you want to see me in baggy shorts or yoga pants? Which one?
No offense, but neither of the above.
Steve doing downward dog in yoga pants.
Downward dog in yoga pants, exactly. See that? Now, y'all did this. You did. I was fine with the yoga talk. They're the ones that went with the yoga pants, okay? So blame Evernham.
I couldn't resist.
Exactly. So, well, it's good. It's good. Everyone's having a good time. What we're going to do is, on this program, we're just going to get together, see how everyone's doing, and then we're going to talk sprint car racing. So let's step away, take a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk sprint car racing.
Perfection isn't easily achieved. It takes hard work, dedication, and perseverance. Through their commitment to excellence, Sage Fruit Company has been supplying customers with the best tree fruit in the Pacific Northwest for over 3 generations. They work hard on the farm, in the packing facilities, and with their retail partners to provide consistent, high-quality apples and pears all year long. Look for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
It's the work area with Wing Nation. So glad you joined us. Ashley Stremme, Erin Evernham, and Steve Post here. And we chit-chatted about each other during the first segment and what's going on in our respective lives. Let's talk a little sprint car racing. Ashley, we're going to throw this one right straight out to you. You were at Volusia. Boy, did they have a handful, a little bit of everything, didn't they, down there with everything, with the modifieds, with the late models, the sprint cars, the big blocks. Boy, I'll tell you what, everyone got to see a little bit of everything, didn't they?
It's true. I could be politically correct and say, oh, it was great. It was wonderful. And granted, they did make the best out of the situation that they kind of brought themselves into.
Yep.
Honestly, the surface sucked. The rain sucked, to be quite frank. I don't think there was maybe 2 to 3 good nights of racing in the 2 weeks. So it was a struggle. This is what you get from
pregnant Ashley. We're getting the real deal. She didn't mess around.
The real deal.
Yeah.
It's just me being honest, though. I mean, granted, they made the best out of the situation. Why they did what they did, I will never know. I will never understand, but it is what it is. And it's what racetracks across the country deal with from time to time. So they made the best of it. I think they've learned a lot from it and probably won't do it again.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I think that's the case. And you're right. Racetracks, dirt tracks across the country deal with it. We've not seen that at Volusia. Yeah. Erin, when we started off down there the very first night with Donnie, now granted, it was an obstacle course, no doubt about it. But, last year we went through the whole, when's Donnie going to win? When's Donnie going to win? He didn't give us any time to have that conversation, did he? That was spectacular.
It was, and I think his years of experience certainly came in. From the start of that race, watching the line that he ran made me wonder why other people weren't trying to run that line, because he was just keeping his momentum and trying to go above those giant ruts in the bottom. And I know that, Kyle caught him at the end using those ruts to his advantage, but that was just experience and his race knowledge. Like he won that race with his brain. The
thing that really got me is when Kyle got by him in turn number 2, Donnie was not going to be denied. Then he threw it in there on the rough stuff. Yep. And he said, I'd end up out of the ballpark. I wasn't going to finish second.
Yeah.
And he come up with a win. So Donnie starts off well. Ashley, the second night, with all of the challenges of the race surface, that spectacular one with Sheldon and Gravel and Brad. Woo, man, I'll tell you what, we had a dandy the second night, didn't we?
Listen, I watched that in person and still had to go back and watch it 3 or 4 times on the Dirt Vision highlights, just because I still couldn't comprehend what I saw. It all happened so quickly. It was absolutely incredible. Absolute great racing that night. Track still wasn't up to par, but they made a really good race out of it.
Yeah. And then I think the third story would come out of that was Saturday night, David Gravel. I don't know if anyone's paying attention, Erin, but I think David Gravel's going to be a handful for everybody. And I know what happens at Volusia is so unique, but I have a hunch that David Gravel's going to be a handful for everybody.
I 100% agree. When you look at his history, whether it was in the JJR car or last year in the big game car, I mean, he's right there, and now him and Cody have a year together under their belt. I think he's going to give them a run for their money for the championship this year.
And Ashley, we talked about it. We had David on one of our podcasts not too long ago. Could not be a nicer guy, nicer family. You know the family really well. It's like it's one of those things where just good things happening to good people.
It is. And I mean, Erin, he's from your home area up in the Northeast there. Not big sprint car country. So it's cool to see people come down from there and be successful and have success with the World of Outlaws, and absolutely incredible family all across the board.
Fun stuff, that's for sure. Now, the World of Outlaws, they roll to Magnolia and Rev. Mag is in Mississippi. The Rev is in Louisiana. And when we look at this, you look at Gravel had 3 top 5 finishes. Donnie Schatz had a win, a 7th to 6th. Sheldon had 10th win and 4th. James McFadden quietly 9th, 6th, and 3rd. So we need to keep an eye on McFadden. What I really find amazing about it this weekend, though, is listen to this list of invaders. You've got your 14 or 15, whatever it is, World of Outlaw Platinum drivers. Rico Abreu, Tyler Courtney, Corey Eliason, Brent Marks, Brian Brown, Gio Selzy, Aaron Reitzel, Sam Haferteep Jr., Ayrton Jennington, Derek Hagar, Carson Short, Carson McCorrell, Brian Bell. Aaron, those
aren't field fillers.
No, they're not. Yeah,
they're contenders.
You think?
Every single one of those. Yeah.
I mean, and Ashley, it's part of this. We talk about this every time of the year, and we've always done this talk under the guise of look at Pete Walton, USCS. Yeah. Everyone's getting rained out in the Gulf Coast. Well, the World of Outlaws last year they made this move, and it looks like everyone wants to be part of it because they are going to have a just whopping quality car counts this week at those 2 races.
It's true. They had such a huge success for their first time there last year. It's I said earlier this week, it's on my bucket list. It's such a cool area. I love the crawfish boils and that Southern Louisiana flavor, but to bring sprint car racing there and have the guys support it is huge.
Cool. So yeah, fingers crossed. Now, as we're recording this, everything is on hold, which that's kind of what we see this time of year. We spend a lot of time on hold. So fingers crossed, because you're right, Ashley, this was so wildly received last year, and it's something, and I hope the World of Outlaws has a little bit of wiggle room at the end of the year. If we can't get there now, maybe we can swing back through when we're coming back before we get to World Finals and that sort of thing. But you're right. That's such a good part of the country, such a neat part of the country.
Well, and I think the good part about it being on the schedule this time of year is these guys they're not on the West Coast right now and stuck. They can maybe make a decision and not have them drive all the way there. They're not spending all that expense.
Well, exactly, because they just raced in Florida and they're going to Texas.
Yeah.
So it's right on the way because they've got the Texas two-step next week at Cotton Bowl. So fingers crossed. As I said, we're recording this now. Check in with Dirt Vision, the World Racing Group, as you watch and listen to this podcast. And maybe we'll have good news. Maybe we'll have bad news. I hope so, because this field of cars is going to be good. When we look at it, Aaron, we talked about 410 Racing, Donnie Sheldon and David Gravel getting the wins for the World of Outlaws. The All-Stars moved over to East Bay, and Tyler Courtney and Corey Eliason. So it looks like not a whole lot has changed with the All-Stars. Although Eliason struggled last year, it looks like the All-Stars are locked in, and a great couple nights of racing at East Bay.
Yeah, it was no shocker that Tyler Courtney was in victory lane, but you're right. It looks like the competition is so strong there. And I know Ashley and I, our first show that we did this year was about some of the non-wing guys coming in, and you're going to have them running a bunch of the All-Star shows. We'd have Chris Wyndham and a few others. So it's going to be interesting to see the All-Stars this year, because I think they're going to get a lot of those guys coming over from the Indiana area.
Right. I'm fascinated to see Kevin Thomas Jr., Tanner Thorson's going to do it. Tanner Thorson's going to do it. Ashley, it's an amazing sequence of events, and it actually some of it played right out at PRI in front of us when the next thing you know, this bomb is being dropped and this announcement's being dropped. But boy, what a great time for wing sprint car racing with all of these. Tyler Courtney was kind of the first one of this wave, if you will, but he's not the last one, and he's not going to be alone when it comes to wing sprint cars.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I think Tyler Courtney set a heck of a bar last year, winning the championship his first time out. Absolutely impressive. But Steve, we talked to Brent Marks on Saturday coming up here on our MAV TV show. And, he's kind of doing the original Outlaw schedule, if you will, and kind of picking and choosing between the All-Stars, the World of Outlaws, Ohio and Pennsylvania Speed Weeks, and really making kind of the best of the sprint car world, if you really want to write it down that way, and traveling across the country. So it's going to be cool to start to see more guys doing things like Brent's going to do this year.
Well, and actually, Ashley Erin and I had Sam Haferteet Jr. on our Tuesday show. He picked up the win at the King of the 360s, and I think it was 50 World of Outlaw races, 20 to 25 other 410 races, 20 to 25 360 races, because we know he has a lot of success there. So I agree, and Erin, it just seems like there's more and more ways these guys can skin the cat and make a career out of racing.
You know, I think our sport is so healthy right now. The purses have gone up. The Outlaws raising their championship purse. I think all those things have people realizing we need to go to the big shows, and we have sponsors like NOS and people that are pouring money into it. I mean, if you think of how far the Outlaws have come in the 20 years that I've really followed them. I raced in 2004 with them. I mean, there was you go to the World Finals and there's hospitality all along the backstretch. You look at Knoxville, it has changed so much in the last 15, 18 years.
Well, and what's interesting is the way it's changed with the local tracks. And Ashley will eventually transition. I want to talk about Pennsylvania, but I was just reading today. The minimum to win at Williams Grove this year is $5,000.
Yeah.
There's three different programs. They have three different series, the Hoosier Diamond Series, the Breeches Series, or whatever it is. Their minimum is $500 to win. Well, you look at that and you're a Pennsylvania racer. Do I race there for $500? Some of the all-star races pay $6,000 or $6,000 to win. So you're and Port, my gosh, you can't go 2 weeks without it being a $10,000 to win race or $8,000 to win race.
Yeah.
So it's amazing. It really is. So it's a fun time. It really is. Before we move, and I want to talk a lot about Central Pennsylvania because, again, fingers crossed with the weather, they open up this weekend. I do want to talk about Parker Price Miller. Ashley, we chatted with Parker Price. I think Erin and I chatted with Parker Price, but dealing with cancer, he has as treatment. He gets right at the end of the healthy window. He goes to East Bay and races, and now he's back in the treatment. Pretty inspiring what Parker Price Miller is doing there.
Absolutely. I mean, I think it's a mental game for him, knowing, the sprint car driver in him. It's a mental game. So as long as he can stay, on top and have that drive to continue to climb back in that sprint car is what's going to keep him going no matter what. Such a great kid. So nice, always willing to chat, always open and honest. I hate to see him going through it, but ultimately he's a fighter, and knowing that he's paired up with James McFadden to drive the car when he can't be in it, I think is just going to keep that fire lit inside him. So it's going to be, it's going to be a long year, I'm sure, but it's going to be awesome to see him actually come out on top.
Really, truly is. That's for sure. I do want to transition back to you, Erin, and a little bit off track again, because I saw on Saturday, Ashley, did you see these pictures of Erin with a makeup artist in front of her? Did you see that?
I did.
My runway debut. I really should have called you for some pointers.
Well, yeah,
I was out of my element.
You did the catwalk for a cause.
You were amazing.
Yeah, this is Martin Truex and Sherry Pollock's their cause for cancer. It ties back into Parker Price Miller. You are BFFs with Sherry. Getting the chance to do that, and I know that walking the catwalk is not your preferred way of participating in charitable endeavors, but salute to you for doing that. But
yes.
When you hear Parker Price Miller, Dale McDowell's a late model driver that had a battle with cancer, and we actually talked to Parker Price Miller, and he was not aware of it, but he reached out to Dale after Dale won that first race back at Volusia. It's just there's a fraternity there that nobody wants to be part of, but you deal with it with your friend Sherry as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been to every single one of their catwalk for causes, and when Sherry asked me to walk in it, I was like, gosh, this is not my thing, but I can't ever say no to Sherry.
Sure.
So was happy to do it, loved it. It was a great event. My runway skills could use some work, but that's besides the point. But you talk about that fraternity. It was a group of, it was basically 12 of them who are fighting ovarian cancer, some just out of treatment, some in treatment. And it was, it just, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
It puts a lot of things in perspective in life. And to see their fight, I don't know if either of you were able to see the special on Sherry before the Cup race. I mean, you were
Heard about
busy,
it. Yeah, I
but
heard
if you look
about
on
it.
social media, you can see it, and that
It's
tells you
great.
all you need to know about Sherry. Like, I was hysterical, and I know her whole story. I talk to her often. So, but the people like Parker Price Miller, Dale McDowell, Sherry, anyone who's fighting cancer, to me, I tell Sherry all the time, she's the strongest person I know. I don't care if you're a football player, you're a race car driver, you're a bull rider. She and all of those people that are fighting it, they're the strongest people I know,
Yeah.
because that's a mental thing that is.
Just think about, we went through that with Jan McMahon, Paul's wife.
Yeah.
You know, Mama Gail has gone through it formerly with World Racing with just amazing. It really does. It impacts so much. And when and I'll echo what you said, Ashley. Parker Price Miller, the racing. I think some of our debate was, if you're a parent, are you going to let him race? I don't know if you're a parent if you can stop him from racing, because that's got to be what's driving him. So it's amazing.
And he
stuff.
ran really well.
Yeah, he
did a
did.
really good job.
Yeah,
Yes.
really, really did. All right, so this weekend, fingers crossed, Pennsylvania opens up. If not, it'll open up next week. They always do, you know. When we look at Central Pennsylvania, this week it is Lincoln. Freddie Raymer is going for 3 championships in a row. Erin, we've talked about this some, and he's done it all with the family team, but it appears that they're going to be in a little bit financially better situation. Rich Eichelberger is a super sportsman racer down there, and he's decided to come in. I saw 4 chassis from our buddy Maxim's. I see engines all over the place. Good for Freddie Raymer to get this opportunity. It looks really neat for him.
And like you said, with the success he had with the family team, it's going to be really interesting to see when now he's got a little bit more funding, maybe, and it's different when you drive for someone else than when you're driving for Fred. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of success he has this year.
It's different driving for everyone else than driving for the family, and that's different for driving for Fred.
Precisely.
His dad. I mean, and Fred's an icon.
We love him
in the
dearly,
sport.
but
exactly. But it just is. Fred had told me one time, Ashley. Fred had told me one time that because Freddie knows the budget and knows the deal and knows that third plays this. There are times when he might get to third spot, and Fred knows also that's not a good way to race, you know, I mean, but it's a good way to own a team. Yep. And so very exciting up there. Contenders, when you look at it, Alan Crimes is a former champion up there, 2-time champion. He finished second points. Chase Dietz has that Dramtrone number 39. That's another returning driver. So Lincoln has this core group of people, Ashley, that it's really, really some great racing, and it's a tough place to do business. It's going to be fun to see what happens at Lincoln this year.
It's true. And they've done so much at that facility over the last couple of years. It's incredible what's happening in Central Pennsylvania. And I know I'm biased, but these tracks are keeping each other in check between Bass, Lincoln, Port Royal. They're all creating this buzz amongst themselves and just making the next one step to the next level. It's absolutely incredible.
Really, truly is. It really, truly is. Jerry Parrish and the gang there at Lincoln have, Alan Kreitzer did a nice job keeping it going and everything. And Jerry Parrish has just kind of said, well, let's grab another gear.
Yeah.
And it's really, really cool. A lot of this is being driven by what Steve O'Neill and everyone is doing at Port Royal. Ashley, your home racetrack. And you got Logan Wagner going for a 5th consecutive champion. That kind of snuck up on me. I knew he'd won multiple championships, but 4 straight in that Zemco car. Logan's got that thing rocking and rolling really well.
He really does. And it's a perfect fit for both of them. He can still do his full-time job of flying and then race the Zemco schedule because they don't run a full-fledged schedule throughout the season. So honestly, and then they get to do cool things like go to Knoxville occasionally. So it's cool to see that one team and Logan really paired up and being that successful team that it's been in years past.
The thing I find so fascinating, and you know the story better than anybody, Ashley, is when I listed contenders, Mike Wagner was second in points last year. Logan's dad, they did some research and they figured out this is his 37th year of fielding a 410 team. That's the longest of anybody in the country right now, presently fielding a 410 team. You know, Danny Smith's got longer with 360s and stuff, but fielding a 410 team. And what we've seen, Mike Wagner appears that he can still get it done on a regular basis. He finished second in points last year, Ashley.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He gives Logan a run for his money some weekends for sure. I mean, I've known I've known Logan since he was a little kid running around the pits with his dad racing, and my dad and Mike raced together. So I've watched Mike race forever and a day. So it's cool to see Logan come up in his footsteps, and now, you know, kind of waving the flag out there for the Wagner family, but Mike's no slouch.
Yeah, Mike says, hold on, son, I'm not ready to go. Erin, I thought it was so neat last year at Knoxville that they both were out there at the Knoxville Nationals.
Yeah.
I mean, and there were moments during that week where you're like, wait a minute, they're both really, really good. Of course, it's a big half-mile track, which is what they focus on and everything. I actually thought Logan might have transferred in at one point, and Mike had a run at one point during the week.
Yeah.
That was so neat to see him out there. We hung out, Ashley and I got to hang out at the Pennsylvania thing, at the Central Pennsylvania thing. It was almost like, I think Mike and his wife and Logan, I think they enjoyed the experience as much as the racing, and that's just a racing family there.
Yeah, I love the whole racing family aspect. I can't imagine what it would be like to race with Kate, or, you know, just have that father and son combination. You think of the, you know, Sheldon and Jack racing together, and the emotions that Sheldon has when Jack retired, and all the success, and you think about the Kinsers. I love that dynamic. I think it's just really neat. You know, we always talk about our sport being a family sport, but to race at the level they're at as a family is really neat. Speaking
of family sport in Port Royal, I just read where Dylan Cisney is not running the family team. Ashley, what are we going, I mean, how is that going to work? He's got a guy named Scott Coleman from over in Wisconsin, but that's just weird. How can we do this? That should not be allowed. I mean, I know it's good for Dylan, but that should not be allowed, because Dylan has been that kid that drags his race car across the parking lot to the racetrack forever.
Well, I think he still technically will be, but it just won't be his per se. It's the same deal as Freddie. You know, it's cool to see Central Pennsylvania gaining owners again. There was a time where it was huge. There was so many owners, there was so many to pick from. And, you know, if you got to ride with one of them, you had an incredible opportunity. And then that kind of went away. In the last 5, maybe 10 years, it's really been family owned teams, you know, trying to piece things together to make things happen. So to see that these car owners are coming back to the sport and giving guys these opportunities like Freddie Raymer and Dylan Cisney, I think it's freaking awesome.
That's a brilliant point.
Really
I hadn't thought about that. And we've talked about the Al Hamiltons and those people going away. But you're right. We've added to that list. You know, we've added
this is someone from out of state, too.
From out of state coming in and wants to see what's going on. Okay, I'll throw my hat into the posse land. Yeah, let's see if he comes back at his arm at the elbow, though. That's the only problem there. But the good news is he's going to battle with Dylan Cisney. Port opens up on March the 6th, so next weekend. And then Williams Grove. This was weird, okay? Lance Deweese started the season with no intention of being the Williams Grove track champion because they run part-time. Ashley Reynolds and Macri doing this and Danny doing that and Freddie doing this and all of them. And we get into August and all of a sudden Lance looks up and says, we're in the points hunt and it's $20,000 to win the championship. I just think that's part of the neat story of Pennsylvania, that a part-timer like Lance Deweese can alter it a little bit at the end of the year and go win that championship. Not sure that he's defending the crown because I think the plan is still the same, but what an accomplishment, his 7th championship at Williams Grove.
It's Lance Deweese, though. I mean, I'm not surprised by any means. Honestly, yes, the rainouts fell his way and things worked, but honestly, he still had to win races. He still had to be consistent. He still had to be up front. It's Lance Deweese. You're not going to take that from him. So him winning a 7th championship doesn't surprise me, but obviously the schedule had to fall the correct way, and it did, but it's still Lance Deweese. He's going to win races.
Let's not forget about your boy Davey either.
Yes.
That's
yes.
right. It's
Love
Davey.
that man.
It's Davey. It's Davey Brown with an assist from
I knew
Lance
we were going to get a little.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Well, it's funny. So at Volusia, real quick, we always run over to our little camp there that we hang out, and Kinzer's always there, Steve. So we get to always hear Steve's story. Well, he got to actually tell a few Davey Brown stories this year at Volusia. So it was cool to kind of hear the king talk about Davey Brown.
Steve Kinzer talking about Davey Brown. Now, I hope you've recorded this. I mean, come on.
That's
like a dream right there for me.
My gosh.
It was really, really cool to hear the king talk about Davey and just his knowledge and how he's still, even at 87, 88 now?
Yeah.
Still
That's
winning
what one of the
races.
things that Dave Blaney talked about off air was Davy Brown.
Maybe that's what we need. We might need a Davy Brown podcast.
Yeah.
Everyone talks
we
about
know
Davy
he
Brown.
won't come on, so we'll get everyone else
to talk about Davy Brown.
Yeah.
That's
and how he's still on top of it at
it's
87.
insane.
Yeah.
Watching him with that car. And when he breaks out the tape measure, you might just well break out the check. You know, I mean, it's like, oh no, Davey broke out the tape measure. He's walking over the rear end of that car. He broke out the tape measure. It's like, who's going to take second tonight? Because we know who's going to win. It is amazing. It really is. What a great season. When we look at contenders at Williams Grove, it's weird because Danny's going to do a lot of traveling. I think Anthony Macri's going to do a lot of traveling. I think the one to watch, and as we talked about with Lincoln, Freddie Raymer is likely not to do as much traveling. Although that's what the 51 car, Fred wants to get him out of Pennsylvania a little bit. And so maybe they'll button up and go to the King's Royal or go try some different things. Williams Grove is going to be fascinating this year. It really, truly is.
I think you might see what we saw last year. Someone starts stringing a bunch of wins together and is leading points and says, oh, I better make it there on Friday nights.
Yeah, because you talk about money with the World of Outlaws,
Yeah.
a $20,000, when you're sitting there, $20,000 point fund, when you're talking March to October, you balance it out, it's not that big. When you're sitting there in August and saying, wait a minute, we just need to add 3 more Williams Grove races to our schedule, and that's $20,000. Well, that starts to add up there pretty good.
And when you're running an outlaw schedule, that's easy,
easy to do. I think that's a good point. Williams Grove opener is March 13th. So really, really fun stuff. So Ashley, get ready up there. You're getting ready to kick things off for us. Fingers crossed this weekend. We'll see how it goes. But it's all on your shoulders up there in Pennsylvania. It's all on your shoulders.
Steve, you know how I feel about this. As much as I'm excited to get back to sprint car racing, I still think, with the exception of the icebreaker, because it's been that way forever and a day, but all these schedules starting so freaking early has me twisted up. I'm not going to lie. I think our race season's way too long to begin with. And now we're starting in the very beginning of March and we race till November, and it's, anyhow, I'll get off that soapbox. But yes, I'm excited to get back sprint car racing. It just might be a smidge too soon here in Pennsylvania.
Smidge too soon, yes. The icebreaker, my favorite race of the year. The reaction is always the same with the icebreaker, okay? If they hit it good, everyone's like, I love the icebreaker. Man, that's great that they do that. I think that's awesome. If they hit it bad, it's like, I've said all along, they're wringing their hands. They should never do that. They should never do that.
That's the world we live in.
It's the world we live in. That is for sure.
It is an iconic race. So I'm here for it because it's been around for, what is this? The 40, I don't even know. 42nd, 56th, who knows? Yeah. But so it's iconic. I'm here for that.
Yeah, February means two things. The Daytona 500 and the icebreaker. That's so Pennsylvania, it is going to be a fascinating season as well. So the work area. Ashley, this was cool hanging out and chatting, wasn't it? It was great hanging out and do a little bench racing.
It really, really was. I'm going to look forward to doing this every single month.
Yeah, we'll do it. Erin, we get a chance. It's strange because, Ashley and I, we do the TV program. We do it via Zoom. You and I get to do the face-to-face, but this is just great.
Kind of feels like Ashley's here with us. I like it.
Yeah. It's almost like we're at the Iowa Beer Bus, which we couldn't do.
Maybe the work area needs some beverages.
Maybe the work,
Give me 5 weeks.
Deal. Done.
5 weeks and beverages will flow.
Lemmies.
There we go. Yes, absolutely. Great stuff. She's Ashley Strubby. She's Erin Evernham. I'm Steve Post. Thanks for joining us here on the work area on Wing Nation.